Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So now we have some more big news. Washington has released former starting safety Sean Davis. We also released Ross Pierschbacher and about 15 total players this morning. So I'm going to talk about the 2 to 3 pretty big guys that we released, and then at the end of the video we'll go through every single one of the cuts so far, and then later today I'll do my final reaction. So first, obviously, Sean Davis getting cut is somewhat of a surprise. I kind of called it last night when we were doing our roster prediction. I said because Troy Apke has been playing really well in training camp. Also, we gave Sean Davis a lot of money this offseason. $5 million deal, $2 million signing bonus. So we are going to save some money by cutting him. And yeah, he got outplayed by Troy Apke and even Cameron Curl, who actually had about 3 picks during training camp. Sean Davis, we really didn't hear anything about him during training camp except him getting outplayed by Apke. So this is no surprise and pretty much locks up the safety position with Troy Apke, Cameron Curl, Landon Collins, and DeShazier Everett. That's it right there. I think those are the 4 that make it. So yeah, not a huge surprise. After this, we'll go on to Ross Pierschbacher, but Sean Davis did have some promise. If you look at 2016, he played in 16 games, started 9, had an interception, and then next year had 3 interceptions, and in 2018 had 1 interception before missing almost all of 2019 with an injury. So it does suck for him, but I think it's not going to be too much of a loss just because of how good Troy Apke is playing. And we do have some decent depth at that position with Cameron Curl, DeShazier Everett, who has started a lot of games before, so I'm not too worried about it, and we do save a decent amount of money. Now on to Ross Pierschbacher. Okay, so now on to Ross Pierschbacher, like I said. So Adam Schefter tweeted out, Washington's 2019 5th round pick, Ross Pierschbacher, was released today. Not much of a surprise, but you know, it does suck that we have to move on from a 5th round pick, but even the last coaching staff who did, he was drafted under Jay Gruden, all of them, Bill Callahan, he barely played, not even in special teams. Most of the games he was listed as inactive, so not much of a surprise. Haven't heard much about him in training camp. He will most likely clear waivers and maybe come back to practice squad, but who knows if he even makes practice squad. He just hasn't been playing well, and this move, not only this move, but I was just thinking earlier, releasing AP, releasing Sean Davis, a couple of somewhat surprising moves. I do believe we're going to keep at least 10 offensive line. I think 10, maybe even more. Usually Ron Rivera kept 10, but this year with we don't have much depth, so who knows? It would be crazy, but possibly keeping 11. So those are kind of the 2 big ones, Ross Pierschbacher and Sean Davis. Don't expect anything out of Sean Davis. When I mean don't expect anything like him to go on the practice squad. He's not that type of player where they're going to clear waivers, or even if he does clear waivers, he's probably just going to wait for another team to sign him who needs a veteran safety. So now on to another player, Donald Payne, linebacker Donald Payne was released, so another strong contender for the practice squad. Another guy who was released, a kind of big-ish name that a lot of fans like, Hale Henches was released. A lot of fans liked him. I was okay with him. I liked Logan Thomas and Marcus Baugh better, but I think Hale Henches is most likely going to go to the practice squad, and if there's any injuries during the season, he'll get called up. I think no one's probably going to put in a claim for him. Maybe they will, and I do believe with the practice squad, you have a few players that you can make sure that don't get claimed by anyone. I'm not sure if they would use that on him, but I think Hale Henches will most likely probably be back in Washington for this year. So those are kind of the 3-ish, 4-ish big name players. There's a couple others, but I want to go on to this right here. So this is every single player that has been cut. So we're going to go one by one. First, this is updated like a little less than 10 minutes ago. Ryan Lewis, cornerback. That was to be expected, maybe a practice squad guy. He's a veteran cornerback, and you need that, especially when you have some injury-prone guys in the secondary. Donald Payne, we touched on that. Timon Paris didn't look good at all in training camp. That was expected. David Steisman, Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. What I said when we signed him, he's a camp bot, and that's exactly what he was. We released Steven Montez, but more than likely, if he does clear waivers, he will be making the practice squad. And Sean Davis, we already talked about. Now a bigger name guy, Jordan Brailford, has been released or cut or waived. He could be one of the guys, like I said, that we end up keeping or getting on the practice squad if he does make it through. Cutting Jordan Brailford and might mean that we keep James Smith-Williams or Nate Orchard. We'll see how that ends up going. Trey Quinn we touched on in the earlier video, but if you did not watch that, Trey Quinn was cut. That opens up a spot. I mean, if we're keeping 6 wide receivers, then probably gonna do, if we're keeping 6 from our own team, it's probably gonna be, obviously, Terry McLaurin, Steven Sims, Dontrell Inman, AGG, and then Cam Sims and Isaiah Wright, but there's definitely a possibility of going after someone like Mohamed Sanu or another veteran. So another player that did get cut, Ross Pierschbacher, we talked about that. Wide receiver Tony Brown that we just signed, possible practice squad player. I think they all knew he wasn't going to make the team, but they might want to keep him around for the practice squad, especially if Steve Montez is on that. Next is Ryan B, really good D lineman, but he probably would be on a roster on most teams in the NFL, but our D line is too stacked, but definitely probably going to make the practice squad. And Jeremy Reeves, he has been released, solid safety, another guy that I do believe he made the practice squad last year, so that's probably what's going to happen with him again. A lot of these guys, practice squad players, what I would say is you got to keep a couple O-linemen on there, so Pierschbacher, and Reuben Foster and Mike Ledke are both on IR, but I think Reeves and B, Henches and Brown, Pierschbacher, I mean, pretty much everyone here is a practice squad candidate, not Sean Davis, probably not David Steisman, or Timon Paris, but that's it right there for the final, or not final cuts, but these are the cuts so far. Let's see if there's any other big news. But again, Sean Davis, it wasn't necessarily super expected, but I thought it was a possibility just because of how much he was outplayed by Troy Apke and also Cameron Curl playing pretty good. For practice squad possibilities, add defensive tackle Ryan B to the list. A solid chance, but not definite. He'll be signed there. Was cut earlier. Good to have around practice squad, but that's a stacked position to crack the roster. Like I said earlier, let's see if there's any more news for from John Keim. Nothing else. He said, curious about the mix at wide receiver. Tony Brown was cut. Strong practice squad candidate if he clears waivers. Same with Quinn. So that is it right there. We are totally updated. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, stay tuned. Any surprise cuts, I will be making a video about it. And then obviously the final 53-man roster when we do that, and any players we sign, of course, I'm going to be doing all that. So I appreciate all you guys watching. Subscribe if you guys are new. Turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video. And peace.